I'm Mara, just a regular person who used to work as an economist until life threw me a curveball. 5 years ago, everything changed when I met Tom at a party hosted by my best friend, Lisa. It was a typical Friday night, and Lisa had been on my case about meeting someone new. "You gotta get out more, Mara. You can't just work and sit at home all the time," she had chided me on the phone. I finally gave in, thinking it would shut her up for a while. The party was in full swing when I arrived, a little nervous, clutching a bottle of wine like a lifeline. Lisa greeted me at the door with her usual big smile and even bigger glass of wine. "Mara, you made it. Come on, I want you to meet someone," she said, dragging me through the crowd before I could even catch my breath. That's when I first saw Tom. He was leaning against the kitchen counter, beer in hand, laughing loudly at something on his phone. Lisa introduced us, and his smile shifted my way, lighting up his face. "Hey, I'm Tom. Lisa's told me a lot about you." "Hopefully, all good things," I replied, trying to sound lighthearted. "Only the best," he shot back, giving me a wink that made me blush. We got to talking, and I was surprised at how easy it was to chat with him. He worked in logistics for a transport company and seemed to know a lot about a lot of things. He was confident, maybe too confident, but it was kind of refreshing. Later in the evening, we found ourselves sitting on Lisa's porch, away from the noise. "So, why has a catch like you been hiding?" Tom asked, a cheeky grin on his face. "I'm not hiding. Just busy with work and stuff," I said, fumbling with my words a bit. "Too busy for a date with me?" he teased, not missing a beat. I laughed, a real laugh, not the polite kind you do out of courtesy. "I suppose I could make some time." "That's what I wanted to hear," Tom said, clinking his beer bottle against my wine glass. As the party wound down, Tom offered to drive me home. I hesitated at first, but Lisa gave me a look that said, "Go for it, girl." So, I did. We talked the whole way, and by the time he dropped me off, he had snagged my number and a promise for a dinner date the next week. My mom was thrilled when I told her about Tom. "Oh, Mara, finally. He sounds wonderful. When can I meet him?" she gushed over the phone. "Slow down, Mom. It's just been a few dates," I reminded her, but I couldn't hide my smile. Her excitement was infectious. The day Tom proposed, 6 months later, was simple, yet perfect. We were at my favorite park, the one where we'd had our third date. He got down on one knee right by the lake, and I didn't hesitate. "Yes," I said, tears of joy streaming down my face. Mom came to the wedding, beaming with pride. "I can't wait for the grandkids," she whispered during the reception, already planning ahead. I just laughed and hugged her, hoping that part of the dream would come true too. Settling into married life was easy at first. We moved into the house I inherited from my dad. It was more than just a building, it was filled with memories of my childhood and the dreams I had of making it a home for my own family. I quit my job and became a housewife. The money my dad left me was enough for a comfortable existence. Tom and I spent weekends fixing the place up. He joked about my obsession with antique furniture, but he loved the results. "Our home," he would say, wrapping his arms around me as we admired our work. "It was supposed to be our forever home." That's how it all started, anyway. I thought I had everything figured out, but life, as always, had other plans. After the honeymoon phase of our marriage began to fade, Tom and I found ourselves face to face with reality. Trying to start a family wasn't as straightforward as we'd hoped. Month after month, disappointment greeted us, and each negative test weighed heavily on us, especially on me. Tom's patience was wearing thin. One evening, after another failed attempt, he exploded. "I just don't get it, Mara. What's the problem? Why isn't this working?" he shouted, slamming his fist on the kitchen table so hard that the plates rattled. I was stirring the soup on the stove, trying to keep my composure. "The doctor said these things take time, Tom. We just need to be patient," I replied, my voice trembling a bit from the tension. "Patient? We've been patient for over a year now. I'm sick of waiting." His voice was raw with frustration. I poured the soup into bowls, my hands shaking. "I'm doing everything I can," I said quietly, avoiding his gaze. "Yeah? Well, maybe it's not enough." He stormed out of the kitchen, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the echo of his words. The next day, Tom apologized for his outburst, but the cycle of hope and disappointment continued, each cycle chipping away at the love and warmth we once shared. Our weekends transformed from cozy time spent together to silent meals and even quieter evenings. One Saturday, as I was trying out a new recipe I learned in a cooking class, Tom walked into the kitchen. He watched me for a moment before speaking. "That smells good. Learning anything new?" he asked, his tone light, trying to make conversation. "Yeah, it's a new recipe from the cooking class. Thought I'd try it out," I responded, focusing on chopping vegetables rather than meeting his eyes. "Great, another dish for the two of us." "It's always just the two of us, isn't it?" His words stung, and I could hear the bitterness seeping in. I stopped chopping, placing the knife down with a clatter. "What do you want me to say, Tom? I'm trying here. It's not like I don't want a family." We sat down to eat the meal I prepared in silence. It was good, but the air between us was thick with unspoken words and buried frustrations. As the months rolled on, the pressure only grew. Conversations about the future became minefields, and Tom often retreated into his work, coming home late, leaving early, and growing more distant. I tried to fill my days with activities, keeping the house immaculate, hoping somehow that would fix things. One evening, while Tom was working late again, I called Lisa for some support. "Hey, Mara, how's it going?" Lisa's voice was a welcome sound. "Not great, Lise. It's just hard right now. I feel like I'm living with a stranger," I confessed, sinking into the couch. "Oh, Mara, I'm so sorry. Anything I can do?" "Just talking helps," I said, tears threatening to spill. "I miss him, Lisa. I miss us." "I know, hon, but you guys are strong. You'll get through this. Maybe see a counselor? It might help to talk to someone neutral." "Yeah, maybe," I murmured, not convinced, but willing to try anything to regain some semblance of the life we once dreamed of. Lately, I've been feeling off, like my body's running on empty. No matter how much I sleep, I wake up tired. It's been going on for a while, and it's getting worse, not better. I tried talking to Tom about it, thinking he'd want to help, or at least understand. "Tom, I'm really struggling here. I don't know what's wrong with me, I'm always exhausted," I told him one evening, hoping for some compassion, or maybe just a bit of concern. He barely looked up from his phone. "You're probably just being lazy. You need to get up and do something, stop pretending." That stung. Pretending? As if I'd choose to feel like this. His words cut deep, and I decided right then to stop talking about it. What was the point if he just got mad? As the days dragged on, I did less around the house. Cooking and cleaning took all the energy I didn't have. Every task felt like climbing a mountain. Tom noticed, alright, and he wasn't happy. "Why is this place such a mess, Mara? What have you been doing all day?" He'd snap as soon as he walked through the door, his tone getting harsher with each passing week. I tried to explain, again, hoping maybe this time he'd get it. "Tom, I told you, I'm not feeling well. I can barely get off the couch most days." "Great, just what I need, a sick wife. Maybe I'd be better off alone." He threw his hands up, frustration written all over his face. Talks of divorce started slipping into our arguments, and they were getting more frequent. He was also staying out a lot, coming home late from work, or sometimes not at all on the weekends. He said he was caught up at the office, but the clues were adding up to something else. There was the smell of unfamiliar perfume when he came home, the secretive texts I'd catch glimpses of when he thought I wasn't looking. It was like he wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. I should have confronted him, maybe thrown a fit, or dug deeper into those late-night texts. But I was too worn out, too beaten down. One night, he came home late, reeking of that same perfume. He was humming some tune, almost happy. It was like he didn't care if I knew. I couldn't hold it back any longer. You smell like perfume, Tom. Where have you been? My voice was weak, but I needed to know. He froze, then shrugged, brushing it off like it was nothing. Oh, that? It's probably just from someone at the office. We had a late meeting. A meeting, right. You expect me to believe that? I was too tired to yell, too tired to fight, but I let the suspicion hang in the air between us. What do you want me to say, Mara? You're always too tired, too sick. Maybe think about that before you start accusing me of things. His dismissive tone was like a slap in the face. One quiet afternoon, when Tom was supposedly at another one of his endless work meetings, I mustered up the energy to tidy up a bit. It was one of my better days, though better lately just meant I could get out of bed without feeling like I might pass out. I decided to start with Tom's stuff, thinking maybe I'd clear out some old clothes for donation. That's when I stumbled upon something I never expected. Hidden in the back of his drawer, under a pile of seldom-worn dress shirts, was a small bottle. Curious, I picked it up and examined it. Male contraceptive pills. My heart sank. Why would Tom have these? We had been trying, well, I thought we were trying to have a baby. I felt the room spin as the implications hit me like a freight train. I sat down hard on the edge of the bed, the bottle still in my hand. By the time Tom came home, I had worked myself into quite a state, alternating between tears and fury. He walked in, cheerful as can be, until he saw my face. What's wrong, Mara? You look like you've seen a ghost. I threw the bottle at him. It hit the wall next to where he stood and fell to the floor. Care to explain this? My voice was shaking, but I managed to keep it loud enough. Tom picked up the bottle, his face a mix of confusion and then a smirk. Oh, that? Look, Mara, I didn't want to say it outright, but yeah, I've been taking these. I realized I don't want kids. At least not with you. His words felt like a punch in the gut. You what? All this time, you let me think the problem was me? He shrugged, his smirk turning into a full-on laugh. Well, it wasn't a problem for me until now. I guess you finally caught on. I felt a rush of anger and clarity. I want a divorce, Tom. He raised his eyebrows, almost relieved. Fine by me, but we'll be splitting everything, right? The house, the cars, all of it. I couldn't help but laugh, even though my heart was pounding and my health was wavering. Actually, Tom, everything we have was bought with the money my dad left me. It's all in my name. You won't get a cent. Tom's face turned red, his anger boiling over. You think you can keep it all? I'll take you to court. I'll sue you for every damn thing you own. As we argued, my vision started to blur, and a wave of dizziness overwhelmed me. I felt the room spinning faster, and before I could grasp onto something, everything went black. When I came to, the room was spinning, and I could hear faint voices in the background. My vision was blurry, but I could make out two figures in the kitchen. My heart pounded as I strained to hear what was being said. It was Tom's voice, and he wasn't alone. Just need to be patient a bit longer. I heard a woman's voice say, low and urgent. Everything will fall into place once she's out of the picture. Tom's reply was a hushed, anxious whisper. Are you sure this is going to work? It feels risky, and if anyone finds out. Will you relax? I've got it covered. I know what I'm doing, she snapped back. The confidence in her tone was chilling. The meds are untraceable, they'll just think her body gave out. Kidney failure, maybe. I felt a cold sweat break out across my forehead. My hands trembled as I gripped the arm of the sofa, trying to process the betrayal. Was Tom really planning something so sinister? To think he'd go this far. I gathered all the strength I could muster and managed to crawl a bit closer, hiding behind the doorframe. Listen to me, Tom. We're in this together now. You said you wanted a way out, right? This is it. No messy divorce, no losing half your stuff. Just wait till she's gone, the woman coaxed. My breath hitched, and I stifled a gasp. The betrayal cut deeper with each word. I needed to see who was with him. Carefully, peering around the corner, I caught a glimpse of the woman. Dark hair, confident posture. Could it be someone from his work? Their conversation was cut short as they heard a noise, the cat knocking something over in another room. They quickly lowered their voices further, and I couldn't make out the words anymore. Realizing the danger of my situation, I knew I had to act weak. I crawled back to where I had previously lain, positioning myself as if I had lost consciousness again. From my feigned position, I heard their conversation end with a soft murmur of agreement, followed by the sound of a kiss, a sound that made my stomach churn. Footsteps approached, and then grew fainter as I heard the front door open and close quietly. Tom was sending her away. Moments later, he came back to where I was unconscious. He muttered under his breath as he picked me up. "Always something with you, isn't it? Just can't handle things like a normal person." His arms felt cold and his grip was firm as he carried me upstairs, to our bedroom. The physical closeness, once a source of comfort, now felt threatening, but I kept my breathing even, pretending to be out cold. Gently, he laid me on the bed. I could feel his presence lingering as if he was assessing if I truly was out. After a moment, I heard him sigh heavily and then the sound of his footsteps retreating. The bedroom door clicked shut, leaving me alone in the darkness. The next morning, Tom's whole demeanor changed. He woke me up with breakfast in bed, something he hadn't done in months, and his face was lined with a softness I hadn't seen in a long time. "Mara, I'm really sorry about everything," he said, his voice gentle, almost careful. "I've been a jerk, and I shouldn't have pushed you so hard. Please, let's not talk about divorce anymore. I love you, more than anything." Hearing him say that, after everything I'd overheard, felt surreal. I nodded, keeping my face neutral. "Okay, Tom, we can try to work things out," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. His relief was palpable, and he kissed my forehead before getting ready for work. "I'll do better, you'll see," he promised as he left. As soon as the door shut behind him, my act dropped. I grabbed my phone and called my mom. "Mom, I need you to come here. It's urgent," I said as soon as she picked up. Her voice was laced with immediate concern. "What's wrong, Mara? You sound upset." "It's Tom. I can't explain everything over the phone, but it's bad. I need you here," I managed to say, trying to keep my voice steady. Without hesitation, she responded, "I'm booking the next flight out. I'll be there as soon as I can, sweetheart." It took 2 agonizing days for her to arrive. When she did, I spilled everything: the overheard conversation, my sudden health issues, my fears about being poisoned. Hearing it all out loud made it even more terrifying, but Mom was my rock. "Oh, Mara," she sighed, her eyes welling up with worry. "We need to get you to a hospital, right now." At the hospital, I relayed my symptoms and suspicions to the doctor, who listened intently and immediately ordered a series of tests. Waiting for the results was excruciating, but finally, the doctor returned with a grave expression. "We found a potent substance in your bloodstream that's consistent with your symptoms. It's typically used in medications to manage severe conditions, but taken without need, it can be extremely harmful," he explained. My heart sank. I haven't been taking any medications. That means... Mom gripped my hand tightly, her lips set in a thin line. "It means Tom has been giving it to you, doesn't it? We suspected, but now we know." The doctor nodded grimly. "Given the situation, I've taken the liberty of informing the police. They are concerned about your safety and suggest a plan to catch your husband red-handed." I was hesitant, the danger feeling all too real. "You mean, pretend like I don't know anything? Let him think he's still fooling me?" "That's the idea. It's the best way to ensure we catch him without him altering his behavior too soon," the officer who had joined explained. After a deep breath, feeling the weight of my decision, I agreed. "Okay, let's do it. If it'll stop him and protect anyone else from being hurt by him, I'll do what's necessary." The next day was like a scene from a twisted drama. Tom came by the hospital with a bag of my personal belongings and a thermos of green tea, my favorite, or so he claimed. He had this look on his face, all caring and concerned, but I saw right through it. "Brought you some tea, love. I know how much you like it when it's freshly brewed," he said, placing the thermos on the small hospital table with a soft clink. "Thanks, just leave it on the table. I'll have some in a bit," I replied, keeping my voice steady. Tom frowned, pushing the thermos closer to me. "Come on, Mara, have some now. It'll warm you up," he insisted, his voice taking on a pressing tone. I shook my head slightly. "Later, Tom. I'm really not up for it right now." Just then, the door to my room swung open, and 2 police officers stepped in. Tom startled, his hand twitching towards the thermos. In a swift move that betrayed his nervousness, he tried to tip it over, to spill its contents on the floor. "Don't move," one of the officers commanded, rushing over to stop him. They grabbed the thermos, securing it, while the other officer grabbed Tom's arms, pulling them behind his back. "You are being detained on suspicion of attempting to harm your wife," the officer holding Tom announced as they cuffed him. Tom's face went white, his eyes darting around the room in panic. "This is a misunderstanding," he stammered. "I was just bringing her some tea." The officers weren't buying it. They led him out of the room, his protests fading as they moved down the hallway. I sat there, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over me. The police had acted just in time, part of their plan to catch Tom in the act, based on the evidence and my testimony. Later, at the police station, I learned more. Tom had been interrogated, and it all came out. He had been plotting with his mistress, a nurse with knowledge of medicines, to poison me slowly. They wanted it to look like natural causes, like kidney failure, so they could take everything I owned. It's clear now. His intentions were lethal. "You're lucky, Mara. It's good you came to us when you did," the detective told me, his face grim. Tom and his mistress were charged, their plans laid bare in court for all to see. I attended every hearing, bolstered by my family and friends' support. Watching him face the consequences, I felt a strong sense of vindication. The jury didn't take long to deliver their verdict, guilty on all counts. After the trial, reporters swarmed outside, eager for a statement. Justice was served, I told them, my voice firmer than I felt. And now, I'm ready to move forward. After the dust settled from the trial and Tom and his mistress were locked away, I didn't just sit back. I was still reeling from all the damage they had done, not just to my life, but to my health. I decided to take further action and filed a lawsuit against both of them for the physical and emotional harm they caused. It was a tough process, dragging all those details out in court again, but it was worth it. The court ruled in my favor, ordering them to pay me compensation for all the suffering they inflicted. It felt like a final stamp of justice, acknowledgement of everything I had been through. Mom had been my rock throughout this ordeal. When the house finally sold, she was right there, packing boxes with me. "You did the right thing, selling it," she said as we taped up another box of kitchen stuff. "I know, Mom. I just couldn't stay there, not with all those memories," I replied, wiping a smear of dust off my cheek. "Now, you've got a clean slate, Mara. You can start building something new, something better," she encouraged, her voice strong and sure. That's exactly what I intended to do. I moved back in with Mom for a while. Living with her brought a sense of peace and stability back into my life that I hadn't realized I'd missed so much. Soon enough, I started looking for a job. I wanted something that felt meaningful, where I could make a difference. That's when I found the opening at a charity organization that helped people who were struggling through tough times. It seemed like a perfect fit, a way to use my ordeal to help others. I landed the job after a heartfelt interview where I shared part of my story. "We're really glad to have you on board, Mara. Your experience and strength are going to be invaluable here," my new boss, Janet, told me on my first day. "Thanks, Janet. I'm ready to get started. I want to help people find their way out of dark places," I responded, feeling a surge of purpose. Work was challenging, but incredibly rewarding. Every day felt like I was making a difference, giving back some of the help and support I'd received from people like Lisa and Mom during my darkest days.